So I have a few questions about this show. One, Lethal Lottery, like Will stated, was a choice. It's not the choice I would have made. What I really wanted to see, and I don't know, I feel like you guys will get this reference. I wish they would do like they did like back in the day in Prom, where they would ask other fellow members of the roster, "Hey, will you go to Battle Bowl with me?" Or preferably, like in Harry Potter, when they're asking each other, "Hey, let's go to the like, will you go to the ball with me?" Like I could literally picture Sting going and like throwing a paper ball and just being like to Dr. Death, just like looking at each other, throwing the paper ball. It's like making hand gestures, just like Fred Weasley. So I'd like to see that, or kind of like Barry Windham, trying to ask Brian.
No, you're missing the one. The perfect example is Vader and Sting, but it would have to be like a cheesy high school homecoming thing where like Vader comes out with a sign and is like, "Sting, will you batter bowl me?" Like, yeah, you see what I mean? Tell me that wouldn't be gold.
Listen, I just want to see the interactions. I feel like it's like a missed opportunity. Like Barry Windham trying to go up to Brian Pillman. It was like, "Hey, will you go to the Battle Bowl with me?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I would, but Too Cold Scorpio already asked me, and I said I would go with him. They add more tension to the dynamic of the tag
What
matches.
the heat in the locker room? What
Yeah.
if, Great Muta was talking to Sting and Sting was like, "No, Dr. Death got me." And then what if Barry Windham was Muta's like third choice to Battle Bowl with?
Yeah, I mean, just think about like one of my favorite films in the Harry Potter franchise is The Goblet of Fire, and one of the most intense moments was trying to figure out, will Ron and Harry find a date to the ball? And I like those dynamics in my Battle Bowl. I don't know. It's
If
just a thought.
I was at Hogwarts, Vince, I would take you to the Triwizard Tournament Ball or whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I think it's the Forbidden Forest
so much.
You would be the one I would take. You would be my wizard.
Oh, okay. All right. I like that. I'll be your wand.
It's Wallop Rewind for the month of March, and if you haven't guessed it, we're talking about Battle Bowl, Starrcade 1992. It's Rylan Turner, joined as always by Vince Delgado. Vince, how are you?
I'm doing
obviously well. Besides horny, because my God, like,
listen, you're the one that hit up the chat earlier today saying like, guys, I'm hard.
Yeah,
it wasn't related to anything here.
Yeah, I was kidding. Let's not give any of that away because there might be something there. There might be something there to my erection. Anyway, this month, because we're talking about 1992 WCW,
yeah,
like, man, we could not have a better guest. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, Will Gray. Will, welcome back. Firstly, it's been I'm so happy because last time, I don't know if you were out of your like realm of like wrestling, but like Ring of Honor, whatever it ended up, or 2010, probably not like the thing the most about in wrestling. But man, when we decided on Starrcade 92, like you must have been salivating.
This is maybe coming out of the territory era of wrestling, may be my favorite. Like the golden era of WWE, I think is what they call it. Like when, the Macho Men. I love the territories during that period. And one of the reasons why is we're going to talk about it when we get to this card. But for so many people to pull double duty, like Hall of Famer, 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 like from the first match, including the dark matches, all the way through the end. And I'm talking about Shanghai Price. I'm telling you, just bona fide worker. If you look at the card from beginning to end, it's nothing but names. And that's kind of what I love about this era of wrestling is because it's either a group of people that are going to be Hall of Famers in 15 years, or it's a group of Hall of Famers that are already there and are like moonlighting at the end of their career. This is the prime of pro wrestling, in my opinion, because it's the end of the greats and then it's the beginning of the next era of greats with your Attitude Era guys and your people like your fucking Masahiro Chonos from New Japan and stuff like that. Like, these are guys that would show out through the 90s and into the early 2000s against the guys who carried the business from the 70s and 80s. And that's what I think makes this era of wrestling so fucking sweet.
Will just kind of described how I feel about sometimes the 80s and 90s basketball and the NBA. It's a very like calm, because he's over here describing. I was like, this sounds like the 90s and 80s.
As a Celtics fan, I love 1980s NBA.
I would imagine you did.
It just goes with the territory, man.
It's a lot of magic in those years.
Lots of Magic, lots of Bird, Kareem. Like, there was so many good players. This is now an NBA episode, Rylan. I hope you're ready for that. NBA history, specifically Bulls and Celtics.
We're foreshadowing Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman in WCW. Is what we're doing.
Guys, before we get into the card itself, I was reached out to today by somebody who used to be a contributor to this show, and that being Rob. Friend to the show. Vince, you've come across Rob in I guess an episode or two of Wrestle Quizdom.
Yes.
Will, you may have as well.
Will was actually the third competitor with me and Rob in the Wrestle Quizdom. The very first.
I'm pretty sure that Rob beat me at Wrestle Quizdom.
Yeah, that was when we popped Will's Wallop cherry.
Okay, well, either way, Rob used to contribute to this show back when Kyle hosted it and giving us facts about the show. He might have even been doing it when Vince took over hosting duties last year. I'm not 100% sure, but he's been listening and he's been off for a while. And as soon as I told him today that we were talking about Starrcade 92, this guy took 25 minutes to give me a bunch of facts. So we'll get into them quickly before we get into the show. 8,000 people in attendance. Apparently, the Omni in Atlanta is Rob's favorite wrestling venue.
Fun fact.
On my Mount Rushmore, by the way.
Okay.
It's on my Mount Rushmore of wrestling venues. Absolutely is.
95,000.
Go on.
Listen, that's an episode in itself.
Yeah, that's a conversation for post show.
95,000 buy rate, which is pretty spectacular for this show, I would say. Considering that, like, we live in an era now where like buy rates are no longer a thing, and even in the last like 10 years, they've become less important. It was the last Starrcade with the NWA titles, as WCW left the NWA about 9 months later. Dr. Death, Steve Williams, was a substitution in the world title match for an injured Rick Rude. Booker Bill Watts of Mid-South fame was fired almost immediately after the show. And I believe it was Eric Bischoff who took over pretty much right after that. Simmons lost the title 2 days later after this to Vader, which honestly, after this show, sure. Because like Vader looked like a killer on this show. We'll get into it, but like, my God. Although, man, Simmons in this era, firstly, all-time physique. Holy shit, this guy.
Yeah. No, I love me some Ron Simmons. He looked great. He looked great tonight.
Okay, what else do we have here? He was relegated back to the tag division after Bischoff took over, unfortunately. The dark match before the show was Brad Armstrong versus Shanghai Pierce, who became Henry O. Godwin, who, well, if you've been listening to Wallop Rewind for a while, he came up last month. A couple months ago when we were talking about the Royal Rumble 98. So,
yeah, back in January.
Yes. And the other facts I have for this, I have the Meltzer ratings for each of the matches, 1 through 9. 1 was a half star. 2 was 1 star. 3 was 3 3/4 stars. 4 was 1 3/4 stars. Match 5 was 1 star. Match 6 was 1 1/4 star. Match 7 was 4 1/4 star. Match 8 was 4.5 stars, and match 9 was a half star. It's universally rated as a mid to high mid show by every reputable source, and there's no real storylines to mention. Although Rob thought it was a fun show, and he would enjoy a new version of this. Now, off the top, you guys talked about BattleBowl. Okay.
Yes.
I think BattleBowl as a concept is not a terrible idea.
It's not.
The execution in 1992 wasn't spectacular.
Well, it's kind of like when you first starting to explore your sexuality. It's the concept is there. The execution isn't quite what it needs to be. After a couple years, it's been like 30 plus years, almost 35 plus years. I think by now we figured out the foreplay mechanics of BattleBowl, and I think between the three of us, we can figure it out, right? Yeah.
Sure. I think so. Let's find out by the end of the show. Will, before we get into this, do you have any overall thoughts about BattleBowl further than what you've said?
The lethal lottery idea, and I said it in the text and I said it beforehand. I'm not a big fan of thrown together tag teams in any capacity, especially when coming out of the 80s into the 90s, Rock and Roll, Midnight Express, the Steiners, like just those three that just come to mind are all around. And you're throwing together Steve Williams and Sting, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I get the idea of like the lottery and the drawing and the tag teams and blah, blah, blah. To get into the BattleBowl, you have to be part of the winning team. I did love the Hills and the Babies being in different locker rooms. I think that was awesome. That was a cool touch. It reminded me of the Raw and SmackDown drafts back in the day.
Yes, I also did get those. Yeah, I got that.
So I thought that was kind of cool. I appreciated Hills in one locker room, Babies in another. Overall, though, I didn't like the lethal lottery. I don't like thrown together tag teams. I think there were a million other. If they wanted to do it that way, they could have done like anything else but thrown together tag team matches, because as we get into them, I'm going to rip all 4 of them to shreds, or the first 4. Question. Yeah.
If they asked each other to be at the BattleBowl, like in Harry Potter, would it make the makeshift tag teams any better if there was some story behind why they chose each other?
The only way that I think this would have been better if that was the case. They would have had to have done it on TV.
Yes, yes. You build up. Yeah, build it up. Yeah, don't do it like the week before the Royal Rumble and Triple H. Just announce everybody via the Pat McAfee show and Twitter.
What a lame idea.
fucking. Anyways, yeah. Back to the BattleBowl. I like my idea. I think it would make for great TV. To like see the backstage segments. I especially want to see like how Sting and Dr. Death were chosen. Like, who would have asked who? Like them over here trying to figure out like tag team matching gear, maybe. I don't know.
If I were to be completely honest with you right now, Steve Williams looks like a power bottom. He walked up to Sting and said, "You're taking me to the BattleBowl."
Somewhere right now, JR is very angry, and I love it.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. He just looks like he's a bear, I think is what they're called. A bear.
Oh yeah, a bear. Yeah, I think that's what they're called. Yeah, I learned that in Shameless, actually.
Did you?
Yeah. It was the thing. Nice. Yeah.
I learned that by being a bear.
Okay, we're gonna go off the rails a bunch in this podcast. I don't want to start too early. Firstly, the one thing I want to say about this show is, as I mentioned, this is Jim Ross's like last appearance for WCW. This show.
Oh, really?
I thought him and Jesse Ventura were pretty great together. I thought Jesse Ventura added an element of sports-like feel to this. He was trying to constantly put over the fact that this is just like said sport event, which I thought, to me, added something to the broadcast. Man, they had a lot of fucking broadcasters. Like, holy shit. They had Larry Sabisco, Eric Bischoff, Tony Schiavone, Jim Ross, Jesse Ventura. Who was the lady? Who was Missy Hyatt?
Missy Hyatt, yeah.
Okay. They had a lot of broadcasters on the show, but Jim Ross and Jesse Ventura were the main commentary team. I honestly thought they worked really well together. I think there were certain spots where Jim Ross was too much, but I also think there were I also think that there were moments where I'm like, oh, is he too much, or is it just of its time? Is it just like he's selling a bulldog on the apron, or sorry, a bulldog on the stage like it's a pile driver because it's 1992?
All right, look gnarly though. Dustin made that shit. That shit looked like he dropped him right on his forehead.
We should wait for that because that's the main event. Guys, getting into the pay-per-view BattleBowl 1992. I guess we should explain BattleBowl. BattleBowl is because we really haven't. It's basically
a battle royal.
It's a battle royal at the end of the show, and it's the competitors are determined by a random draw of two tag teams, two superstars who are very much so odd couples of each other, like for the most part anyway. They're paired together, and the winning team gets a spot in the battle royal at the end of the night. So we have 4 BattleBowl lethal lottery tag team matches that open the show. My word, here we go. Dan Spivey and Van Hammer versus Cactus Jack and Johnny B. Bad. I mentioned this to Will off air, but Johnny B. Bad was the reason I chose this pay-per-view. And by the end of this pay-per-view, I was like, well, that wasn't a good representation of who he was as a character or a wrestler at all.
You didn't do your research.
I did not.
To Rob. You should talk to Rob about getting some research done. Because that was my thought watching this tag match. I was like, this is the guy that Rylan's trying to tell me that he was better than what he was in WWE. He was.
This is much better. Will can back me up on this.
He was great in WCW. I agree with Rylan. That was where he was best. I feel like the thing with this match, and you saw it coming from a mile away because of who I am and what I talk about, Cactus. Yes. Our boy, Mrs. Foley's baby boy. R.I.P. Mrs. Foley. Cactus Jack did here what Mick Foley did in his entire career from beginning to end. And he made everybody look like $1 million fucking dollars. Like the situation, if you look at the roster, and again, I'm going to go down Vader, Sting, like the Johnny B. Bad thing. He ends up running a story with him after this, building off of what happened. And I wrote down in my notes, Johnny B. Bad and Cactus Jack using thrown together tag teams to build single stories. I wrote that down because that was the one good thing about this match. Cactus Jack put everybody over, built a story with Johnny B. Bad, and Johnny cheating him out of the match was like the build. And I think that's one thing modern wrestling misses is the build inside of the match. It's all about starting a fight and ending a fight, but there's none of that meat and potatoes in the middle anymore. And a lot, you look at the times, all 3 of the first matches were under 7 minutes because all of these guys had to run double duty. But all 3 of these matches told a story in that 7 minutes. That's the one redeeming factor about the fact that none of these guys wanted to have to work twice.
Yeah. My whole thing is that the finishes made Johnny B. Bad look bad. Because he hits, I get it, like you, but you can understand why Cactus was pissed at you. He legitimately thought you hit him on purpose. Then you hit him, and then you just stand there and watch as Cactus gets pinned, and you lose. Like, forget the fact that you guys just got into it, and there's some misunderstanding. You know what the legit situation is. You should be the bigger person here, and also, you're fucking yourself over to be in the BattleBowl, which is what this all is about. It's the granddaddy of them all. You want to be in BattleBowl, and you let your feelings towards Cactus jeopardize your own opportunity. So I think the finish made Johnny B. Bad look dumb. He looked like a moron to me. Like, that makes no sense. I don't care how mad you are at Cactus. Do what Vader did. Not to jump ahead, but wait till the bell rings and then knock a bitch out. You know?
Okay. I before we get too much more into this match, because I do want to talk about Dan Spivey for a second, because Dan Spivey was a character that Bray Wyatt drew from. Am I correct, Will?
I think so. I'm not a big Bray Wyatt fan, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Will's never been a Bray guy.
Yeah, just
Okay,
not my
fair
cup
enough.
of tea. I like
Okay.
wrestling, not characters.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Van Hammer famously joined the Ravens flock in 1997, and eventually became what was the character? He was like the hippie that was all about.
Love?
I don't know. No.
CJ Parker?
We're gonna move on. Yeah, this match was not great, and it wasn't a great representation of Johnny B. Bad. Vince, I will be back to you with this. Will, do you have any final thoughts on this match?
No.
I have one final thought.
What's your final thought?
That Cactus and Johnny B. Bad should have gotten over. You could have still done the little split miscommunication thing in the Battle Royal. I mean, there was a common thread of eliminations. We'll talk about it once we get to the main event. But I feel like that main event would have been so much bigger if you had Cactus and Johnny B. Bad in it. Granted, that's coming from a biased perspective because I don't really knew of Dan Spivey or Van Hammer prior to the show. So that could be just my like uneducated, uninformed, uncultured self not knowing. But really feels like confusing booking, in my opinion.
You're not wrong, but again, looking where the main event went when we get there, like there would have been too much to get in a short amount of time if you had put Johnny B. Bad and Cactus in that match. Like, as we put over the next couple teams that win, like looking at who was in that match, if you added Johnny and Cactus on top of everything else that's about to go down, like that would have been, in my opinion, that would have overbooked it, because it's a thrown together tag team that builds a single story, a thrown together tag team that starts and builds one later, a thrown together tag team that hates each other and has always hated each other. And it's like, and then that builds to the main event. If you put Johnny B. Bad and Cactus in there, I don't think it would have allowed them to build as well, because it would have got lost in the mix of everything else happening. You see what I mean?
No,
There
I
were
totally
bigger
get it.
Stories that were coming, and Johnny B. Bad and Cactus was still fresh. They had just started fighting a few weeks ago on TV at this point.
No, the logic is all there. I'm just saying I would have cared more about the main event if they were in it.
Match 2, another lethal lottery tag match. Actually, there's 4 to start this show. Big Van Vader and Dustin Rhodes against Kensuke Sasaki. Am I saying that right?
Kensuke Sasaki and the Barbarian.
Barbarian. Yeah.
What a name.
This match went just under 7 minutes. And man, Vader in 1992 was just the guy, wasn't he? He was just like the coolest fucking dude in the world. Like, the bell rang and he just killed people. And I don't even mean like, figuratively. Like, we'll talk about it later in the show when he goes one-on-one with that man Sting. But like, God, yeah, he's great. Dustin Rhodes never has been bad. Like, every time I review a Dustin Rhodes match, whether he's Goldust, whether he's the artist formerly known as Goldust, whether he's, Black Rain, like, he's
Black Rain was horrible. No, fuck
it was
Black Rain
horrible,
was horrible
as a character, but as soon as the bell rang, he was still pretty good in the ring. But yeah, okay, like, and like, yeah, no, this was okay. It wasn't the worst match on the card, but it wasn't the best. Will, we'll start with you.
The lesser unfortunate half of this match, the Barbarian and Kensuke Sasaki. The Barbarian is one of those. I put him on that list of almost comedic, like, you know what I mean? Like cult following style wrestlers. Like the guys that were kind of there, they were the quintessential jobbers from the area or from the era. And when people say jobber online, I always think, y'all don't know what it is. Go watch, 1990s wrestling and you'll see real jobbers.
Yeah.
Like guys that were on TV every week and did nothing but lose because they were there to put over the big guys. And I feel like that's kind of what these two were. Vader is absolutely the biggest name on this card. And I feel like that looking at him and him working. You see him multiple times throughout the night, and he never looks tired. He never looks beat down. He goes out there, he wrecks shit, and he leaves. Vader is at this point, in my opinion, maybe the biggest star on the planet, not named Sting. Like, at least maybe outside Muta? Of Kinetic. Muta in Japan, in my opinion, is too...
Atlanta was hot for Muta.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to think about what was the New Japan push in 92 was crazy. Because you had the Three Musketeers coming up. Masahiro Chono gets the run with the NWA title. He wins it on Japanese soil because it was kind of that gimme back after Kerry won it in Japan. Like, so when they gave him the belt, that was New Japan's shine in the States. And I feel like a lot it's kind of in 92 what happened in 2023 when AEW opened the forbidden door and New Japan got super over in the States again. That was kind of what happened in like that early 90s push with WCW is they opened that door for the world to realize how cool Japanese strong style really is. So I feel like if it wasn't for the WCW push, and Eric Bischoff was a genius for this shit. He did it in 94 with the Luchadors too. For when Worlds Collide. Like he opened the door and brought AAA into the States for the first time. And like that was the one nice thing about WCW was that. And I think at this point, again, giving Masahiro Chono the belt, giving him a pay-per-view in the States defending the title against Great Muta. If you put Chono and Great Muta in Japan for any title, it would sell out the Tokyo Dome 10 times out of 10, right? And what did you say Dave gave this match? 2 stars, 1.25 star, something ridiculous like that?
Hold on, I'll pull it up again.
But I'll keep going while you look. But the point is, this is the meme. If this match happened in the Tokyo Dome, Dave would have given it like 12 stars.
Yeah, well, to be fair,
he gave it 3.25. He gave this match 3.25. Wait,
okay.
Hold on. No, he gave it 1 star.
One star. That's what I'm saying. I'm going to look up real quick while you go, Vince. I'm going to see what Masahiro Chono and Great Muta got in Japan, just for fun.
All right. But yeah, going back to the second match, because we keep jumping back and forth and everywhere else in between. Dustin Rhodes, solid hand. Vader was a fucking force, man. Like he ran a train on this pay-per-view because he ran 3 matches. So shout out to him. He looked great. He looked great in all 3 matches because there were guys here that wrestled twice or 3 times on the card, and you can tell they were saving their strength and stamina for the BattleBowl itself. I'm looking at you, Muta, especially in the title match. You can tell he's really pacing himself. But no, shout out to Vader. It was all right, solid match. And then, like I said, Vader clocks the fuck out of Dustin after the match. And
wouldn't be the worst punch he threw in that night. Would not be the worst punch he threw.
Rylan, where we go from here?
Barry Windham and the Great Muta against Too Cold Scorpio and Flying Brian. Another match that went just under 7 minutes. Another Lethal Lottery tag team match. Barry Windham and Great Muta go over, obviously, as we've discussed. Too Cold Scorpio is cool. He's a cool character. Like I don't see enough of Too Cold Scorpio when we look back on old wrestling. So I'm always excited to see the guy. Flying Brian, man, this is the best version of Brian Pillman, in my opinion. People like to talk about, I liked him when he was the nutcase.
The loose cannon.
The loose cannon. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, that was already after a severe like motorcycle accident or car accident or whatever it was.
He
like
wasn't the
his
same.
ability, his ability in the ring was, leagues above in this era what it was ever there. And not to say that like this match was like, the best representation of it, but there was some. And yeah, I enjoyed this tag match. I thought it was pretty good.
I think this was the most fun tag match out of the 4 Lethal Lottery matches, because you got Too Cold Scorpio, you got Flying Brian, you got Muta, and Muta. This is the first match of the night for him, so he's got some spring in his step. He's got some kicks. He's bringing the stuff, and Barry Windham is cool too. I don't think I've ever seen a Barry Windham match. I like what I saw from Barry Windham. He just kind of strikes me as like that old school like brawler type of guy. And I kind of like it. He also reminded me of Husky Harris. So I always liked Husky Harris back in the day on NXT, the game show. Whatever happened to him?
That's his uncle. Is Barry Windham's his uncle, is it not?
Yeah, that was a joke.
Oh.
not a very good one, though. But I didn't enjoy the finish. I just wrote down whack finish, and I watched this on Monday, and I can't recall what the finish was, but I think it was like something just like I looked at it, I was like, oh man, this finish sucked. But the match was fun.
Will.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
He gave him 4.5 stars 6 months before this match when they wrestled in Japan. Just saying. I wanted to see.
Did. Sorry, I thought you were asking about the tag match at the time that we were talking about, not the Chono and Great. You're talking about Chono and Great Muta, right? Yeah. So that would have been. Hold on, let's hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would have been match 5. So he gave that on this card. Oh, he also gave it 1 star. Never mind. Well,
it's literally the meme in real time, ladies and gentlemen. I looked it up. Muta, Barry Windham, Brian Pillman, and Too Cold Scorpio. Muta is, in my opinion, the biggest star in Japan. I don't think there's very many people that will ever beat that aura. He was both the Hulk Hogan before he turned heel and the Hulk Hogan after he turned heel simultaneously, because people feared him, they hated him, but for some reason he was like the biggest star in the fucking world. So I think everywhere he went, and again, talking about it, going back, Eric Bischoff really opened that door, brought New Japan over, and had a chance to really let those guys shine. Barry Windham is one of the most technically sound workers you'll ever watch. And the issue with that is a lot of people give him strife and give him a lot of hate because if you watch a Barry Windham match, you've seen all of Barry Windham's matches. You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem. Like, he's really good, but he's really good. Like, it's just, he's a good wrestler. And, it's like watching Bryan Danielson when he was in Ring of Honor, right? Like, that's just a Ring of Honor quote, because he's really the only guy from Ring of Honor I know anything about. When you watch him wrestle in Ring of Honor, it was a lot of really technical shit, but he didn't really grow into it until WWE, in my opinion, right? And that was kind of Barry Windham. Like, he was just super technical, a brawler all the time, and that was it. Too Cold Scorpio, in my opinion, is the most underutilized person on this card.
Oh, man. I can't wait till we get to the awards later. We're going to have conversations.
Period. I think that if him and Ric Flair didn't have heat, Too Cold Scorpio could have been a world champion in WCW. Ric Flair, in my opinion, cost Too Cold Scorpio his shine. He's also the reason why he lost his job, and he's also the reason why him and Hawk got in 2 fights in Korea.
Jesus, there's a lot of tea.
Flair,
there's a lot of tea with
Too Cold Scorpio got fucked over by Ric Flair hard in the 90s. Like, and I think he was super underappreciated because of the heat between him and Flair.
Damn. Yeah. I didn't even knew all that.
Yeah.
Finding things out in real time. I like it.
But Muta and Barry Windham were both stars. I love them both. This match wouldn't have this wasn't like the Van Hammer Spivey match this is the perfect example of it didn't matter who won because all 4 people would have done a good job. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You would have got a winner in the main event no matter what.
Steve Williams and Sting against Eric Watts and Jushin Thunder Liger. Eric Watts is Bill Watts' son, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Will. This guy is a guy that his dad tried to get over numerous times, I believe. And it just never really fully worked, as far as I understand the story of Eric Watts. He did eventually, I believe, show up in TNA at some point.
David Flair with less talent.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's fuck.
David Flair.
Yeah. Honestly, that's my biggest analogy I could give you for who Eric Watts is. David Flair with less talent.
I'm lucky enough to have seen a Liger match in person in my time of going to live wrestling shows. So like I every time I get to see Liger, I cherish it. It was difficult to cherish it in this, silly match. I don't know if you guys would agree with me on this. These tag matches, and I would even say to a certain degree, like the matches that followed. Is there something to be said about the era of WCW where finishes felt like they came out of nowhere?
I felt that especially in the tag match with Scorpio, Pillman, Wyndham, and Muta, but also in the fisticuff match between Vader and Sting. That actually came out of nowhere. I was looking down on my phone for like half a second, and I looked up. I'm like, wait, what? What was the finish? I had to rewind it.
Will, you are muted.
I'm glad I wanted you to finish. I'm glad I didn't interrupt you and let you finish your thought. As you were talking, whatever you said clicked in my brain. I figured out how to beat the Lethal Lottery and make it enjoyable and not use thrown together tag teams.
Oh my God. Tell us.
So you draw the same names, but it would have been, instead of having like Van Hammer and Dan Spivey versus Johnny B. Bad and Cactus, as much as it would suck, is you would have them battle like the 2 guys that were going to be in the main event. So Hammer and Spivey, for instance, would be the first match of the card, and they would fight for the advantage to go into the Battle Bowl later. So match 1 would be the 8th guy, 9th, and then match 2 would be the 9th guy, 3 would be the 10th guy, and blah, blah, blah. And the winners of each match would get the advantage to enter later into the Battle Bowl. They would have already got their spots. They would be fighting for their point of victory. You see what I mean? The losers would have to be the first 4 guys in, and the winners would be the last 4 guys in. You see what I'm saying?
I see. So you're trying to make it like a Royal Rumble elimination chamber. Yeah,
sort of, yeah. Because I don't like throwing together tag teams. And the only good thing that came out of this was the booking and the fact that they built through the card to get to the main event. That's the one redeeming factor of these thrown together tag teams.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't hate it. And I was thinking about that in terms of Battle Bowl. Like, I felt like there wasn't a lot of like urgency in terms of the Battle Royal, because you're just like, you spend like a good, like, you know what? We'll talk about it when we get to the main event. I'll complain about it when we get there.
We are all over the place on this show. I love it. All right, we've finally escaped the Lethal Lottery, and we've finally gotten into the single matches on the pay-per-view here. Man, this pay-per-view, 2 hours 45 minutes. Yeah, I felt every single one of those minutes.
By the way, it was Dr. Death and Sting. They got the victory in the tag match.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, the big gold belt. Okay, so like, let me try and understand this era. Ric Flair leaves with the big gold belt, starts showing up on WWF television with the big gold belt. They blur that belt. Eventually, they have to get WCW or NWA at the time has to get that belt off of him and onto somebody else. I'm assuming this is not long after that, because I assume that this. Trying to think, when was Starrcade? That would have been December. So he would have Ric Flair would have he would have won the Rumble the year or a few months.
He won the Rumble in 92.
Yeah, so 12 months prior, he won the Rumble.
So this is closer to Ric Flair coming back to WCW than it is him leaving at this point.
Oh yeah. No, for sure.
Question.
One thing before we get out of the lethal lottery, I wrote this down and I hated it, and I forgot to bring it up.
Okay.
The fucking entrances. I brought this up to Al while I was watching it because of how stupid it was that they played the theme song for the pay-per-view instead of giving each guy an entrance.
Oh, I hated that shit. It pissed me off.
I hated that so bad that it was in my notes, and I forgot to mention how much I hated it when we were talking about it. But as we get to the end of the lethal lottery, it was so dumb that we didn't hear any entrance themes. Like, they just kept playing the same theme song and calling everybody to the ring. I thought that was dumb. Am I crazy for that?
No.
Absolutely
I thought it was
not.
fucking stupid, and it was even worse in the third one because if I'm not mistaken, Muta, I think it was Barry Windham that made it down to the ring first, then Brian Pillman, and then they go to Muta, and then Too Cold Scorpio makes it.
It was out of order. And
it was out of order.
The bottom thirds didn't match and shit. And
No.
I was like, this is so confusing because the announcers are announcing somebody else, but it's Muta walk. Like, I was like, what the hell? It was definitely.
There was another thing that
that
pissed me off in terms of entrances, and it was at the tail end of the show, and I'll try to remember to bring it back up. But yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned it because the entrances that really grinded my gears for sure. I'm glad you mentioned it. Thank you, Will.
Sorry, back to the NWA title.
Yes. So the NWA title. So there are technically two. Oh, all right. Go ahead.
So okay. I'm glad you guys are both here because while I was watching the show and when I saw the card, I was like, so the NWA title looks like the WCW title, as I always knew it to look like the Big Gold. The WCW title didn't look nothing like the Big Gold. And I'm like, at what point did the NWA title turn into the Big Gold and then go back to the 10 pounds of gold? And when did the WCW turn into the Big Gold? And I was wondering, I could look this up, but then I could waste about like 5 or 10 minutes on the show and ask Will and Rylan why that is and what was the chronological order of events. Because I'm very curious, like genuinely very curious, because I was like, that I've never knew that the NWA title, or I might have known and forgotten, but I didn't remember that NWA title was the Big Gold belt at one point. Like, I was so confused when I saw.
Will be the guy to ask about this
because I saw Chono with the Big Gold. And I was like, wait, I thought WCW title champion was Ron Simmons. What the fuck's going on? I was so confused.
So my timeline may be a little bit off. But essentially the way it worked was the NWA title was the big belt in the NWA. World Championship Wrestling was the premier television program of the NWA, Turner Broadcasting, the 705 Super Show or 805 Super Show or whatever, right? You following me still? The WCW title was initially a glorified world television title because it was
TV title
on WCW television as a world championship. It was like a regional title. Okay, that was essentially what it was prior to the Turner buyout. When Turner bought it out and they started going to television, the World Championship Wrestling World Heavyweight title and the NWA title were both defended in WCW. After Flair came back and he got the big gold belt, then it transitioned to becoming the WCW World Heavyweight title. And then in 2001, it became the WWF World Heavyweight title, the big gold belt specifically.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So at what point did the NWA title stop being the big gold and go back to the 10 pounds? And did they just like unify the WCW title that Simmons had with the big gold of the NWAs?
That part I'm not really sure about, honestly. I would have to look it up how they ended up. Hey, cut it out. I'm talking. You like how they stopped as soon as I said something to him? Though? Yeah. That was cool. That I'm not really sure about how they dissolved that title, honestly. And I want to say it just kind of stopped happening when Hogan got it, or when Flair came back, or whatever. Not Hogan, but when Flair came back, rather, and he got that belt. I'm pretty sure that's when it just became the big gold belt, because the NWA was, in '92, the NWA was partnered with, like, they were doing all kinds of shit, like Smoky Mountain Wrestling and all like they were kind of on their way out because WCW had started to become bigger than the NWA at that point.
Right.
So like that was when they started using the big gold belt as the WCW title. The NWA switched back to the 10 pounds of gold around that same time. Then the NWA had like a Wildcat belt and shit for a little while too. It got messy. The lineages of belts are fucking terrible. I'm way too stoned.
No. This seems
like
this seems like a very messy belt situation.
The first belt in WWF history, okay, was a stolen belt from the NWA.
Yeah.
Like that's how messy the lineages are. Like all of the World Wrestling Federation World Heavyweight title is technically on the same lineage as the NWA North American title.
And then the NWA World title became the main heavyweight title in TNA years later.
Yeah.
And then that muddled the waters even more. Because then, oh man. Gotta love the shenanigans, man.
And back to this, Masahiro Chono has it now because Eric Bischoff thought it would be a good way to get New Japan over in the States. Rylan, back to you. It is your show.
It's fair. It's fair. I honest to God, I'm actually happy with all the pivoting and all the knowledge we're getting on this show because I wasn't sure how long the show was going to go. We're definitely going over an hour. Like we're definitely...
Yeah. Oh, I knew it was going to be like at least a 2-hour show.
So Masahiro Chono against the Great Muta. These guys went just about 13 minutes, 12:49. I thought this was a really good match. I thought so. This is like I think my first Chono match.
Starrcade 93. They unified the titles, Vader and Flair.
There it is. And we reviewed Starrcade 93 on here. Starrcade 93, Vader and Flair, one of the best.
Wait, so you reviewed the show that had the answer to my question and you couldn't answer me?
They did a really
I did not remember that.
Telling you that was happening. I'm telling you.
They did. What they were telling you the whole show was that Flair could be killed by Vader, and they did it so fucking good. We talked about this last month, Vince. We talked about this build. Anyway, Kyle of all people loved it, and he was not expecting to love any. He's like, man, the whole time he's just riding in the car with Gene Okerlund, and he's just like, I could die tonight. Anyway, Chono and Muta, I thought they had a really good match. Muta, I will agree with you, Vince. I think Muta was kind of like saving himself for a battle royale performance later in the night. But Chono, I thought looked really, really great. I'm not super familiar with a lot of his work, so it was kind of cool to see him work. And this was what I loved about this match is it was completely different than everything else on the card. And yeah,
I was gonna let Will go.
Yeah, Will.
Yeah.
The dogs are gonna kill me. Penny, leave him alone. Stop it, both of you. The best thing about this match, in my opinion, this was match of the night, for one thing. And two, it was not just a good match. They did a good job of showing you versatility in both workers. Chono only worked once, but Muta worked 3 different matches in this show. Muta worked 3 very different matches in this show. And I think that was one of the things that was super great about this is because Muta showed you that if you give him 7 minutes in a tag match, like he can still make it matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He got his shit in that tag.
What he did in that match, even in 7 minutes with 3 other people in the ring, like he still got it done. In the singles match, they showed you why Japanese strong style could get over in the States. And I think that goes back, pivoting all the way back to my original thing about Bischoff is this was a New Japan match in WCW. And I loved it. And I think as a fan of strong style, get in there, beat the shit out of each other wrestling, like that's maybe why it was the match of the night for me is because that's what they did. They just went in there and they wrestled like they were in the Tokyo Dome.
Okay, so this is why I wanted Will to go first. The match was fine. I didn't like it as much as you guys did. It was very slow to start off for me. Too many times, like I get the story they were trying to tell, where like Muta is already into his second match and he's being outworked initially by Chono because he's being taken out of the ring. But there was too many instances. I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 instances where they did the same spot where like they lock up or do something, and then Muta would be outside the ring and then trying to regather and regroup, or like they were like multiple wrestles to start the match. And again, I might need to rewatch it because at this point I had seen what Muta did in the tag match, and I was like, I want to see that Muta. That Muta is fun. I didn't like as much the Muta that was with Chono. It wasn't a bad match. It was a fine, good match. But me personally, I didn't like it that much, and I didn't think it was the best match on the card. Or at least I didn't enjoy it the most out of all the other matches on the card. But it was fine.
Muta laid into some of the things. If you watch Mania 3 and you watch Steamboat Savage, Steamboat's later in this card. My favorite match of all time is Steamboat Savage for the reasons why they made the match the way they did. They changed how wrestling, like the way people wrote matches, changed after Mania 3 because of that match. Muta, I'm not saying, I don't know if this has ever been confirmed. Muta had a lot of callbacks to what Savage did in that match. Anytime Chono would get the upper hand, he would break and roll out of the ring and kind of reset. And that was the build.
No, I do see that similarity, actually.
I'm not trying to convince you. I understand. You're beautiful always, even if we don't agree. But like the thing is like Muta was able to, again, to show how good he was in 3 different matches. He was able to show that branch from like American Eastern or Western wrestling to Eastern wrestling, because the strong style in the ring, but playing and doing the dastardly stuff and rolling out and resetting and breaking, like all of that was American wrestling. That wouldn't have happened in Japan. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's what I appreciated about it. That's what I was saying. In 3 different matches, Muta showed you 3 different versions of himself.
Which again, like, not to disparage Muta or the match itself, it was just a little. It was just a little slow for my taste. Again, I might need to rewatch it, maybe with fresher eyes. It's always easier to watch a match when you're just going straight into the match itself and not have to like this, like midway through the pay-per-view. I've already sat through Lethal Lottery, so maybe I wasn't in the right mindset to really properly enjoy this match. So maybe fresh eyes would do me better.
The WCW World Heavyweight title match, Ron Simmons defending the title against Dr. Death, Steve Williams, supposed to be Rick Rude. I haven't talked about like some of the things that like obviously like these teams that were formed earlier were chosen in a tumbler on a stage with I believe it was Tony Schiavone and Missy Hyatt. Or no, it was Larry Sabisco and Missy Hyatt. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And then Tony Schiavone would sometimes come in.
Also, this pay-per-view didn't start, or like the matches did not start for like 10 minutes because they spent 10 minutes talking about last year's Battle Bowl and how Sting was awesome. And then they brought Sting out to like receive his ring, which I'm just like, you're giving the ring out like a year later? Like,
he carried the trophy for a year.
That's okay. All right. This is news to me.
He had a trophy, and when they came in, he returned the trophy and got a ring to symbolize that he won. And then the winner would get the trophy.
Okay. Yeah, they may mention that on commentary.
No, I'm kidding. I love
Yeah, they may mention about that on commentary.
You have to understand, I watched this pay-per-view in like 7 different sittings, and that was 6 weeks ago.
No, Jesse Ventura like was making it seem, was like, yeah, he was making the comps and stuff about like, you know, like when you win a championship in sports, you know, you get a championship ring. They're trying to make it seem like there was a Super Bowl ring almost, you know.
They had this one part of the pay-per-view where they were showing like this like animated version of the building of a ring, and Tony Schiavone, fucking Christ, it was Jim Ross was like, yeah, there it is, the making of the ring. And I'm like, no, dude, that's an animation, you fucking dork. Like, oh, fucking cracked me up so much.
So with WWE using Jesse Ventura on Saturday Night Main Event, listening to him on commentary in '92, could have been him in 2026. His commentary style is exactly the same. I don't feel like he's changed anything about who he is. Like the way he talks about wrestling, the way he talks about the people in the ring, very much. You could copy and paste him into a match now, and we've listened to him do it. It's the exact same voice. Not even Jim Ross sounds the same. Like you listen to Jim Ross in 92 versus 2023, or even at his peak in like the mid. When did this is going to sound terrible because I don't remember. He had his stroke in the late 90s, right?
Your guess is
99.
Well, I remember because they did the Oklahoma gimmick in like 2000 or 2001, like mocking him because of it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, so then WCW, totally different story. But like that was the thing. Like right before that happened, I feel like he was at his peak. You know what I mean? And you look at the 9 years difference between 92 and 98, 99 before he had his stroke. Totally different dude. Jesse Ventura is the exact same person. The way he sounds, the way he talks, the way he acts. Like nothing about that man has changed in 40 years.
That's very true. But there's just something different, though, for me. I just enjoyed him a lot more on commentary than I thought it would. And that's because I don't necessarily love his commentary in 2025, 6, or 2024. You know, anytime he's done any of the Saturday Night's Main Events, sometimes it's good, but then a lot of times I'm just like, bro, shut up. Like, you're annoying me.
This is why I love him now. Is because like I feel like they give him a directive. Like they look at him and they're like, we want you to get this over, we want you to do this. And he goes, I got it. And then he just goes out there and he goes, this is all about me now. I'm doing this for all the homies. And he just goes out there and he calls out bullshit. He calls out bullshit in their logics. And I like it. I like it. I like the disruptor character that he plays. Cause like, and the disruptor person that he is. Cause like, Jesse Ventura is from what I'm sure there's skeletons in the closet. He was a Navy SEAL for God's sakes.
He's also a politician.
Yes,
like,
I was just about to say.
There's definitely skeletons in the closet. If you're in public, if you're especially as high-ranking a public official as being a governor, you've got skeletons in your closet.
He recently said that if the U.S. president doesn't like Minnesota, we should become part of Canada. And I laughed out loud. I was just like, "Oh fuck, that's a way to give it to him back." Now Canada's going to annex Minnesota. There we go.
Can you take Illinois with you?
We'll trade you Minnesota for Alberta straight up.
Oh, take them. They don't want
you guys making trades.
Here, we'll take Chicago for Quebec.
Ooh, wow.
No deal. I don't like the French. I got too many people in Chicago, and I don't like the French. Next trade.
But at least I can support the Raptors this way.
Oh fuck! All right, where were we? The WCW. We didn't even start talking about the match. Ron Simmons, the champion who defeated Vader earlier in the year, spectacular fashion. Against Dr. Death Steve Williams, who again was a replacement for Rick Rude. I had mentioned that there were backstage segments. Rick Rude came out at one point to protest this, looking jacked as fuck, because Rick Rude in 1992 was just all muscle.
Although never, and I mean never, shaved the mustache. I did not like the no facial hair Rick Rude. That was not ravishing. This is why you got stripped of the title. This is why you got stripped of your title match. This is, I don't know what happens after this. Don't spoil it for me. I'll go back and watch it. But this is why, because you don't have the mustache, bro. Like I need the mustache. I like my mustache wearing men. This is why I support Dominic Mysterio.
There's plenty of reasons why you support Dominic Mysterio besides his mustache. Let's be honest.
But that's not
this match against Steve Williams was 15 minutes, 12 seconds.
Too long.
Definitely too long. Like this is a good 8 to 10. These guys could have got this done in 8 to 10. I thought there were really good parts of this match. And I thought that if there was one thing about this match that I took out of it is that this crowd made this match feel like it had that big fight feel.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the crowd was very much into it. They were very hyped for it. It's a little hokey, kinda, but like I kind of enjoyed the little like tackle off they had, where they were like taking turns, like trying to like tackle each other. Making the loop to their.
Is it any more hokey than some of the stuff we see now?
No, it's not. That's why I said it's kind of a little hokey, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it was one of the more interesting parts of the match. Again, I hated the fucking finish though. The finish was fucking whack.
I did too. I thought like you gave these people 15 minutes of just like two dudes just headbutting each other and shouldering each other, and then you're just like, yeah, fuck the finish, fucking disqualification, and like just like something.
Well,
that
no, it was a double count out, and then Dr. Death, Steve Williams, got DQ'd because he attacked Ron Simmons after the match.
Well, they never
restarted the match. They just reversed the decision.
Fucked up version of like a dusty finish, sort of, because they both got counted out. Then they restarted the match, but then it didn't really restart because he got disqualified. Right? Isn't that how it went down?
No, they just started. They just called it a double count out. And then Vader, not Vader. Why did I say Vader? I just got Vader on the brain. Dr. Death attacked Ron Simmons. They started going back and forth, then hit the knee to the back of the head, and then he got DQ'd for something, even though there was no match to get DQ'd, and then they reversed the decision. The fans didn't like it. They were booing the shit out of it. And I just thought it made Ron Simmons look like a chump for taking that kind of victory. I thought they were going to be like, oh, we're going to restart the match. And I was like, okay, cool. They did that fake, double count out. We're going to restart the match. Sudden death thing. They didn't fucking do that. That's what they should have done. I don't know if they were trying to keep both of them like looking strong, but you
didn't though.
No, you didn't.
Like, don't get me wrong. The reaction of them just yelling at each other made the crowd go nuts. The crowd was into it no matter what. But you killed the any heat that this match had. And again, the Bill Watts was fired not long after this. These kind of decisions on big Starrcade's WCW's WrestleMania. You're telling me the world title match?
They called it the granddaddy of them all.
Exactly. Like, you're telling me your world title match had ended in DQ? Ultimately,
no. Question: do you guys know if Rick Rude was in fact injured or just like replaced for storyline reasons?
If I'm not mistaken, this is the big injury. Like this
was the injury. Like, yeah, he leaves after this or doesn't have much of a career in WCW after this at all.
I don't think he has much of a career anywhere after that.
Yeah.
So after this is when he leaves to go to WWE and be like DX's manager shortly after, right?
Yes. He comes out as like the lawyer with the briefcase guy.
And then
that was
goes
97?
right back to WCW and joins the NWO, I believe.
Yeah. Well, that's very unfortunate because I feel like Ron Simmons and Rick Rude would have had a banger match. I think they would have had a really good match.
100%.
Not Tokyo Dome levels, quality star rating matches.
Yeah, 36 stars in the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, 36 stars in the Tokyo Dome for sure.
My short, quick notes.
That's going to be what this episode's called.
36 stars in the Tokyo Dome. My short, sweet notes for this match were Steve Williams, in my opinion, as somebody who watched the Brawl for All real time, anytime I watch Steve Williams, he's the guy who got knocked out by Bart Gunn. He was supposed to be the biggest, baddest man on the.
What was so special about him? Like, what was?
I thought we were gonna see it on this show because I was like, "Oh, Dr. Death is in this 3 times. One of the few people that are in this 3 times." I thought we were gonna see it. He just kind of feels like a dude, like one of those mid card dudes that were like big Haas guys. A guy like Luke Harper is a million times better than what I saw from Dr. Death. Heck, I would have taken Eric Rowan. I would have taken Eric Rowan. I think
Eric Rowan or Luke Harper, and I love Luke Harper. Don't get me wrong. This isn't about him as a person. This is about him as a worker. If he worked like Dr. Death Steve Williams, he would have been a world champion in every promotion he ever worked in. If he would have worked like Bruiser Brody, he would have been a world champion in every promotion he worked in. He had the build and the physique and everything that he needed to do it. He wanted to be that brooding, dark character, though. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, some of these guys just need to go back to the roots. Be a big, brooding badass. You know what I mean? Like, Luke Harper could have been Bruiser Brody in WWF. You know what I mean? Like, he could have been that guy. And I think
they
Dr.
were
Death Steve
getting
Williams
there.
sorry.
No, sorry, I was cutting you off too. You don't have to apologize to me.
You guys are so cute.
I love your eyes.
Oh, thank you. I love yours. I love the reflection. But but I was just gonna say, I think they were getting to that with Luke Harper when they split him off from the Wyatt family. He was just Luke Harper in the Intercontinental title scene. I thought we were gonna get to that, and then they just reverted back to that. So I see your point. You're very true.
That was the thing with Steve Williams. In this, he was the big brooding mid-card guy who was always in the world title picture and stuff. By the time he got the WWF, they were going to make him the man. And Bart Gunn ruined all of that with the Brawl for All. Like,
Dr. Death Steve Williams had a banger theme song for no fucking reason.
Some of the music didn't deserve to be this good, given who some of these guys were. WWF was notorious for that in the Attitude Era. They would give badass, like, just the most banger theme songs to, like, mid-card dudes.
I'm looking at you, Billy Kidman.
Billy Kidman had a bop.
Yeah, for no reason. He had no right to have that theme song.
Yeah. Moving on. The NWA and WCW Unified World Tag Team titles. Ricky Steamboat and Shane Douglas. Now, Will, I'm so happy you're here because you understand this era and I don't. What the fuck were Ricky Steamboat and Shane Douglas tagging for? Like, what you said you hated makeshift tag teams. Does this not look like a makeshift tag team?
It was.
Yeah.
They got over with it, but I mean, essentially that's what it was. It was the blending of the NWA and the WCW. It was the unification of it, putting guys over that had worked in both promotions. So that way, when they unified the belts, everybody was comfortable. You know what I mean? Like, people in WCW knew who both these guys were. People in the NWA knew who these guys were. So it was a very seamless transition. That's what this was. Like, other than that, this would have never happened anywhere else. Ricky the Dragon at this point in his career was riding off into the sunset, like I talked about at the beginning of the show. And Shane Douglas, in a lot of ways, was about to hit his stride. You know what I mean? Like, going into especially his ECW stuff. Like that's the thing with this era of wrestling. That's what I was talking about. Ricky, though, like, he was a mainstay in the NWA. And WCW did a really good job of using him. And I'm going to make an analogy to modern wrestling. Tony Khan did the same thing with Chris Jericho. WCW used Ricky the Dragon Steamboat because he was super over. You know what I mean? They knew they could bring him in and put him on TV, even if it was a mid-card title like a tag belt, because people liked Ricky the Dragon. Look at where this is on the card. 2 world titles happened before the unified tag belts.
Yeah, that's crazy because Ricky Steamboat was bigger considerably in the States than all 4 men in both world title pictures. I believe
he was. Ricky Steamboat held both the WCW and the NWA belts. He held the 10 pounds of gold and the big gold belt. You know, he was huge in WWF prior to this. He was huge in the NWA. He and, Wahoo McDaniels in the fucking 70s carried the Atlantic Championship Wrestling when Flair first got his, like, that's the thing. Ricky was always that staple. He could always be used in any scenario. He could be put in any title scene, and people liked him. I have 2 different autos from Ricky the Dragon in my office right now. I have a JCP turnbuckle signed by him, and I have a Mania 3 picture signed by him. I think Ricky the Dragon Steamboat he's up there.
He's a dream.
He's a dream. Steamboat's a dreamboat. He's not on my Mount Rushmore, but he's up there.
So Ricky Steamboat and Shane Douglas are against Brian Wyndham and Flying Brian for the tag team titles. This match goes 20 minutes, 2 seconds. And it's pretty great. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. But it was another ending where I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? Like,
also, my question for Barry Windham here is, why the fuck did you think it was a good idea to team up with Flying Brian Pillman after you faced them in opposite teams in the tag match prior to like start like earlier in the show? Like he was the one that got.
I think they're already a tag team. I think they're
no, they were an established tag team. But here's the thing. Let me paint the scenario. If you're Barry Windham, right? Your tag team partner is on the opposite side. He's on the losing side. And if I'm not mistaken, he's the one that gets pinned. Now you have a tag team title match, and you're supposed to rely on the guy that just got pinned and just lost to you. I was like, okay, so now we know that I'm like I'm carrying the heavier load here because I got to carry him because he can't hold his own. Then what happens? He loses. So I'm like, that's egg on your face, Barry Windham. Why would you trust a man that just lost in a tag team match to be reliant in a tag team title match later on in the night? So he's on.
This thing went 20 fucking minutes. It's not like he didn't try. Like
he still. I never once said that Flying Brian didn't try because he tried. God damn it! Like him and those Jimmy Snuka inspired speedos of his, which I loved, by the way, fucking looked like a piece of meat, and I loved it. But again, it's like Wyndham beat Pillman in a tag match prior. Why did you think that you would be successful with Pillman even when he just lost? So, I'm just saying, like, use some logic here. If I'm Barry Windham, I'm like, follow my lead, do so, or like just skip the match. I don't know, find a new tag partner.
It's for the titles, man. It's for the titles, man.
The unified tag titles.
I laughed out loud at one part in this match where Jesse Ventura brings up a point about Shane Douglas. He's like, Shane Douglas says his hero is Rush Limbaugh. And JR immediately jumps on it. Is like, I don't think Rush Limbaugh is a bad guy at all. And Jesse Ventura, of course you do. Of course you do. Laughed out loud at that. Like, and again, it's just one of those moments of Jesse, like Will had mentioned, just Jesse being Jesse. Super fucking funny. And always fun. A disruptor, always the opposite of what you expect that role to be. And I don't think it works all the time. No. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want him calling the main event of WrestleMania anymore. You know what I mean? Because I think we're past that. But like, I don't mind him calling a cage match between Drew and fucking
I kind of mind that. I kind of mind that a little.
I love that match. And
the match, yes. The commentary, no.
He called him out at the end of the match. He was like, "What's this bullshit? Just walk out of the cage and win it?" Like, I liked that.
Like,
I like how he approaches it.
Yes, but he also made it sound like he's never seen the cage match in WWE and how they've been won in the past. Like
traditionally in the 80s, that's not how they did it, though.
No, I know.
You couldn't even win by pinfall. You had to escape the cage to win.
Like, give it the times, Jesse. Read the rule book before you get on commentary, and like. Anyways, we're gonna get off track again. Point is, I thought he was fun in this show, not so much on Saturday Night's Main Event.
So thoughts on the tag match, guys?
I think Barry Windham needs to reassess his tag team partners.
I think you just need to enjoy the show, Vince. Okay, this isn't an episode of Grey's Anatomy, my guy. You don't have to remember what happened in Act 2 in Act 4. Okay? Like, this is the situation. Yeah, they were on opposite teams, but you know what? This is going to be one of those situations where if you watch this weekly, okay, and you had been watching all the pay-per-views building up to 92, and as a fan, could you imagine if it was... I'm just going to put these teams together right now off the top. If it was the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys, but it was Devon and Matt against Jeff and Bubba Ray, and then later in the night, Jeff and Matt had another match.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how fucking ridiculous that would feel to you as a fan. Like, I can't believe that just happened. He lost and he got pinned by his, like, blah, now they're going to be tag partners. Like, everything you described, you're like, why is this so dumb? The fans at the time ate that shit up because they were watching it every week.
No, I didn't say it was dumb. I'm saying Barry Windham is dumb for believing that he could now like rely on Pillman, even though he had just proven to be a loser.
No. I get what you're saying, but that was the point of it. That was kind of the beauty in the way this card was built. Like I said, for a bunch of like, especially those first 4 matches were mediocre as fuck. Some of them were bad, but they all gave us a little something building towards the main event. And I think that's the genius in the way this era of wrestling was booked. Triple H does a lot of the same shit now, where his opening segment, his middle segment at the turn of the hour will all build to his main event. And this card was booked the exact same.
I could see the comparisons in the
Triple H just watches Bill Watts videos and jerks off and then books Raw.
I just to go back to the selection process of the Lethal Lottery teaming, where like, it's more like asking someone to prom. I think I would have benefited. Me personally, not the show itself, but Vince Delgado himself would have benefited greatly from seeing like a crisis of confidence moment from Barry Windham in the back. It's like, can I rely on Brian? He just lost. He was the one that got pinned. What if he gets pinned in our tag match? Do I have to like carry the load here? Can I believe in this man? Like
I love you, Vince. I love you sincerely with my whole heart. I think you are a beautiful man. Rylan, get this show back under control. Why are we still talking about Barry Windham?
Because he reminds me of Husky Harris, goddammit.
I already told you I don't like Bray Wyatt.
Who's talking about Bray Wyatt? I'm talking about Husky Harris. 2 different people.
All right. Sting, Big Van Vader. The tournament final, the King of Cable tournament, was just we don't have a TV title. So
I would rather they fight for the right to walk out with Vader's do-rag. Because do-rag Vader is a fucking choice. What waves does he have on his head? None, I tell you. But do-rag Sting is something I would have paid to see. Forget the trophy. Take his do-rag. That's what I want.
Dude, Vader could do whatever the fuck he wanted. That's period.
This was my favorite match on the card.
Me too. Mine too.
This was a fucking 16-minute, 50-second fight. And it's like Sting went into this fight tonight and he knew, he's like, well, I'm coming out on top. So basically, I'm just going to let this guy just maul me for almost 20 minutes. And I'm just going to there was a point in this match where Vader goes, like Vader's got Sting on the top and he goes up and Sting fights out. And Vader does this big splash onto the mat. And all I'm thinking is, oh, we're building to a big splash from Sting. No, Sting just falls off the turnbuckle. That's how exhausted he is. And I'm like, this is selling at a fucking level that I haven't seen in such a long time. It's so brilliantly too. So brilliantly. Like Sting was phenomenal in this. Vader, there was the throwing the punches in the corner. And Sting is just like, duh, just eating them. Like, and Jesse, he's there's a lot of forearm, but like Jesse's concerned the entire time.
No, I love the intensity from Sting. I thought it was great. He really did seem like, even though Vader was this overwhelming dominant force, that he was by no means like levels below Vader. He really did seem like he was his 1A to his 1B type of situation. And he took it to Vader. I especially liked it when he got Vader onto the outside with the spill. So much so to the point where poor Vader's like, "Oh, I gotta take my mask. I can't breathe." Like this man's giving it to me, and he just had this infectious energy that I wasn't there live for the show, but I can feel how the crowd was feeling because he was hyping them up. He was doing like the chest beating and everything. I fucking loved it. Like Sting's a great guy, and I've never really seen too many of Surfer Sting, with the flat top blonde hair. And I enjoyed it. It's one of my few times I've actually seen this version of Sting because I'm just used to Crow Sting and Wolfpack Sting and Joker Sting and Darby Allin's babysitter Sting. So like this was a nice change of pace. I like this.
Will.
I apologize ahead of time. I think. What do I think? Hold on. I wrote down Missy Hyatt smash 10 times out of 10. That is in my notes. No, seriously, I think looking at this match specifically, it showed you what we talked about through the whole show. Every time we've mentioned Vader, how big of a monster he was.
Mhm.
He was an absolute beast in every single scenario. The way Muta had 3 different matches, Vader had multiple matches, and he was the same dude. With the way Muta showed you he could be different people, Vader showed you that no matter who he is, where he is on the card, or what he's doing, he's just going to walk fucking through you. And
Yeah.
the best part about this is this match, I'm going to compare it the way it felt is like when Brock Lesnar gets beat. And not when Brock Lesnar gets beat by like 5 different dudes, like when Seth Rollins beats him from underneath. You know what I mean? And
Right.
the match of WrestleMania. Like Brock Lesnar kills him.
yeah.
You think he's going to fucking just, this is going to be a squash match. Lesnar's going to walk through Rollins, right? Just beat the shit out of him. And then Rollins fights back from underneath and beats him. Like, this was very reminiscent of that same feel. Like, everybody thought Vader was going to kill Sting. And then he didn't.
No, it's a very nice, fair
It was
analogy.
Rollins, right? At that WrestleMania?
Yeah, it was Rollins 35.
Because Heyman came out and did the whole thing about how if we're not going on last, we're going first so we can get the hell out of here shit, right? Like, that
Yeah,
was
because
the whole
that was the year him and Becky both won the Rumble.
Okay.
So, and it was Becky.
I was making sure. I knew it was. I was pretty sure it was Seth that beat him for the title at the beginning, the very first match of WrestleMania that year. But it was like Brock Lesnar had been built and proven to be this unbeatable force, and everybody just thought that Seth, it was like David versus Goliath, and that's what every time Sting wrestled Vader, that's what it was. It was that David versus Goliath. Even when Sting would beat him, people would still say Vader won the match. You know what I mean? Like, Sting just got the 3 count. That was the only thing. Like,
yeah, he snuck away with that victory because it came out of nowhere. Like I said, I looked down on my phone for like half a second to like respond to my wife's text message, and I looked up and the match was over. I had to rewind it.
If all of Vader's matches, if I use a boxing analogy, if you'll allow me, if his matches all went to judges, Vader would be undefeated. But the fact that he was a professional and would do the job, he would put people like Sting over.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? He always looked like a dominant winner no matter what he did, but he was still professional enough to know when it was a good time to lose. And I think that's what made him different than a lot of superstars at that time, because your Hogans and your Flairs and your Machos and your Ultimate Warriors, hell, even your Sting sometimes wouldn't want to lose.
No, and I totally get that. And Rylan, I think it's kind of crazy that we see like a drastic difference in like the 2 different Vaders we've covered in the last 3 months.
Oh yeah.
Because 98 Vader versus the artist formerly known as Goldust at the Royal 98 Rumble does not taste good in my mouth like 92 Vader at Starrcade BattleBowl. 92 Vader, I wanted 3 servings. 98 Vader, no, please just.
He was mishandled really poorly in WWF at that point in his career.
Yes,
the same way the Road Warriors were. You know what I mean? When they fucking brought in like LOD 2000 or whatever and all of that shit, like, they completely ruined the whole thing. And I feel like they did a lot of the same stuff with Vader. They took
his that with image, a lot of people.
Yeah, they kineticified the shit out of it.
Well, they just took what they didn't create and they decided this is either going to get over our way or it's not going to at all, and we don't care.
Yeah.
Anyway, this match was great. This match was great. I agree that the finish wasn't spectacular, but like I
don't think it was a bad finish. I just think it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, but like I almost think like a match like this needs a for me, I would have preferred a finish that you could see coming. You know what I mean? Like where they were building to, as opposed to it just out of nowhere finish.
No,
although I do see the argument for this type of match needing that because of the fact that Vader was just working Sting for 20 minutes.
Yeah, because the way Will described it, like while he was doing his description of the match itself and how it is playing out, I'm like, oh my god, yeah, now that finish makes all the sense in the world. Because yeah, Sting got the 1, 2, 3, but the match was Vader's. He just snuck away with the victory, like the technical win.
Vader
the win-loss.
If there was a definition of a visual win, it was this match. Vader looked like he should have won this match, but Sting got the win.
Yeah. And I have to ask, is this the first interaction with Sting and Vader? Like, I know that at some point Sting takes the title off of Vader, does he not?
I wouldn't know.
I'm doing my Will Gray thing. Give me a second. I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. Well, while Will is doing that, let's get into what immediately happened after, which was BattleBowl 1992.
Did it really happen immediately right after? Because Sting and Vader, even though they just finished having their match, for whatever reason, they went to the back and they were the last ones to come back out. Like they weren't just out here 5 minutes ago. Which lends me to believe that there was a big break in action where they were in the back maybe for 10 minutes to catch their breath or something, because I thought it would have given it a more sense of urgency. Oh, Sting won because he was even interviewed. I was like, oh, what would make this even better is, to top this off by being back-to-back BattleBowl winners and all this other stuff. And they cut to something else. And they come back, and then you're trying to tell me Sting was already in the ring. Why would you leave? You have to come back. You're expending energy, both him and Vader. You're expending energy going to the back, coming back out. Just ask someone to give you a bottle of water or something. Pretend like you're a boxer and you're sitting in the corner waiting for in between rounds or something. I don't know. It made no sense.
I think you're overthinking this.
I think you're underthinking it.
Sting and Vader started their thing in April of '92, so they're not even a year into a rivalry that would build that they would essentially wrestle for 2 years in WCW.
Jesus.
From early '92 till September of '94, they were routinely wrestling with each other for 2 years. This was you could say this is the first quarter of over 2 years of wrestling that these guys did.
Okay.
Well, then it's man, what a match!
One of the greatest rivalries of all time, in my opinion. I'm personally not a Sting fan. I didn't like Sting until he became the Crow Sting. I thought Surfer Sting was lame.
Yeah.
I didn't get it. I was I didn't like the say your prayers, eat your vitamins, fucking white meat baby faces. You know what I mean? Not even as a 7-year-old kid, I thought that shit was whack. It was cringe as fuck. I just didn't get it. I didn't like Surfer Sting. I appreciate his work now. Looking back at it, and I'm like, the dude could fucking work for a bodybuilder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tag team partner with the fucking Dingo Warrior. The dude, Sting can work, and I appreciate his work. I just didn't like the character. I could give a shit less about Surfer Sting, but Surfer Sting is the reason why, Foley was given his shot because of how good Cactus made Sting look. You know what I mean? Sting got super over because Vader was willing to count the lights for him. Sting is attached to a lot of my favorite wrestlers. So I think that may be why I'm not a Sting guy, is because I watched him wrestle Vader, and I watched him wrestle Foley, and I watched him beat them both a lot. And fuck Sting.
No, I get that sentiment. I get that.
He
sentiment
beat my
for sure.
favorite guys all the time. I couldn't like him as a kid.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Battle Bowl 1992, an 8-man battle royale. The Great Muta, Barry Windham, Big Van Vader, Dan Spivey, Dustin Rhodes, Steve Williams, Sting, and Van Hammer. This match went a second over 14 minutes. This was, I never want to watch an 8-man over the top rope battle royale ever again. How dull. Like, you had to follow Sting and Vader for 20 minutes with a battle royale, and it felt like so deflating. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
like, I understand you built the whole show to this, but like, these guys couldn't compete with that. And two of the guys were in the fucking match.
Yeah,
prior to
in the vacuum. There was nothing left. The crowd looked exhausted. They had by this point, every person in this battle royal they had seen wrestle earlier in the night.
Yeah.
You said they had just watched Sting see him beat Vader, and then immediately come out in that battle royale.
Not immediately.
A
couple seconds after they went to the back.
Yeah.
Vader just tackles him on the fucking ramp.
I will say I did love that they just picked up where they left off and they said, fuck this shit. I love that aspect of it. But yes, there was a sense of, we've already seen these guys. They've already kind of shown us what they could do. We're very gassed out and like just need a breather. And then they didn't do anything at the beginning that made you feel like, oh, I got to really pay attention. I lost interest at the beginning as well. It wasn't until I think Steve Williams was the first one to Dr. Death Steve Williams was the first one to eliminate Van Hammer, and I was like, oh, we got an elimination. And then I woke up. That's where I started to pay attention.
Will, thoughts?
I have no notes written about. This is the only match I didn't write any notes down about. And to be completely honest, I was over it. I was like, I appreciate a good shit fest, right? And that's kind of what this was. This could have been a dark match for this pay-per-view. Sting and Vader should have been the main event, but there's no way they could have had the Battle Royal first. Oh, no, fuck that. I take that back. Have them be the last two men in the Battle Royal with Muta, and Muta eliminate both of them, and then they start their match because they're so pissed that Muta won the match. That's how the main event starts for the King of Cable Championship.
Yeah, that's a better ending. That's a better ending because, like, this was just, I don't know. It did not hit in any way, shape, or form. The crowd, like you guys said, crowd's dead. Tired as all hell. And I didn't want to watch any more wrestling after Sting and Van Vader. I don't often get that feeling when watching one of these shows. I don't often feel like I've overstayed my welcome because usually the show concludes in a nice whatever way. This show concluded with Jesse Ventura and Jim Ross talking about the ending of this show, just going, the Great Muta won. What a surprise! And then Jim Ross with the weirdest smile to close, just to close it. Like,
that was the thing that listen. Like it's one thing that they chose to end the show with BattleBowl, but like they gave Muta the pyrotechnics and everything like that. Where the fuck's his trophy? Like Sting got a trophy for the King Cable. Where the fuck was Muta? Like end off with the image of Muta being the BattleBowl champion, not on like Jim Ross's creepy weird smile. Like that's just a weird way to close things off, because the last image isn't Muta or a wrestler or a pro wrestling ring. It's the commentary team staring and trying to recap what just happened.
You don't remember Studio News, do you?
What's that?
Exactly. You always end with your broadcaster saying goodnight to the people watching at home. That's a very old school broadcast thing to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
fair enough.
It makes sense that they did it. It was dumb because in wrestling nowadays we never see it, but it was back in the early 90s, the 80s and 70s. They made it look like a sport. So they would do cheesy shit like go to the broadcasters at the end of the broadcast to say goodnight to the people watching and shit, right? Like, it's dumb as shit, but I get it. I know why. The reason why they stopped doing it is because we think it's dumb as shit now. Like, that's why they don't do it anymore. It's because we hated it.
In my defense, I didn't know about it because at the time of this show airing, I was 6 months and 3 weeks old. So it did not my era for sure.
I was learning cursive and long division.
In 92?
Mm-hmm. I was 7 years old.
I was still in diapers.
Hey, man.
I
would grow into the blossoming love affair that it is today in 2026, though.
Yeah, we just have to make sure I was of legal age of consent.
Is our age difference problematic?
I don't think so. I think I think once I get to 18 years old, I don't think it's problematic anymore.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, just got to get to the age of consent. You don't want to do a Marty Scurll.
Hey, just the look on his face, like, what the fuck
16-year-old. Hey, listen.
Christ, you guys. Jesus Christ.
No.
It's a wrestling show. It's a wrestling show. I'm just kidding. Well, that was WCW BattleBowl or fucking Starrcade 1992 BattleBowl.
Starrcade represents BattleBowl.
Yeah, sure. We have two more things between the three of us to do before we get out of here. We have to decide the overall ranking.
You're right.
We have to decide the out of 5 ranking of this pay-per-view. I'm going to give it a 2.5. I think there were really high highs to this show, but the lows were like the first 4 matches. Like not and again, some of them were fine, but like what they were was not awesome. And yeah, I enjoyed some of this, but like 2.5 I feel like is fair. And a lot of that is Sting and Vader. A lot of that is Sting.
Yeah. Me personally, I'm gonna give it a 2. It wasn't even better than the 3-hour episode of SmackDown, and I don't enjoy SmackDown lately. But like, you get shit like Carmelo Hayes versus Ray Phoenix, and you get some good shit sprinkled in there. So this just kind of felt like a 3-hour episode of Nitro. Nothing crazy. Didn't feel like the granddaddy of them all. Not to me. So it gets a 2. A little harsh, but it would have been worse if it wasn't for Vader and Sting.
Will
3. Good, not great.
Okay.
I didn't hate it, but it wasn't like, it's definitely not WCW's best pay-per-views. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It was good, not great. It was very for it to be a Starrcast, or the Starrcade rather. I would say I would liken this to like not as bad as COVID Mania, but like it's up there. You know what I mean? Like this was a bad Starrcade. This wasn't their best showing, but it still was a good show though. So that shows you like, you know what I mean? To be a lower Starrcade, but still to be a good show says something, because some of those WrestleManias are trash. Like, you see what I'm trying to get there though?
Oh,
like some of the lowest Starrcades are still
some
great or good shows, not great shows.
And now it is time to decide the Lance Storm Award recipient for Starrcade 1992. Vince, I'll start with you.
I wanted to give it to Dustin, but we always give him props whenever we see something Goldust related. So I'm going to give it to a guy that, doesn't get talked about in the same breath as a guy like Ron Simmons, and that's Too Cold Scorpio. This dude's so underrated. Like, he's so good. He was one of the most interesting dudes on the card for me, and he didn't even get more than 8 minutes to show off what he could do, and that was sharing the ring with 3 other men. I would have loved for him to go one-on-one with Muta, or maybe him go one-on-one with Speedo wearing Brian Pillman. Just a little something to wet my whistle. But I like to go Scorpio, and I don't think he gets the props he deserves.
Will,
you're muted, buddy.
You're muted.
I'm gonna go with Missy Hyatt because the way she handled those balls coming out of the tumbler.
Oh my god.
I would give it to Muta. Muta had
Okay.
a great show from top to bottom. Like I said, he showed us 3 different versions of himself. He finished with a great match, but also Missy Hyatt, smoke show.
Oh,
This one was difficult. I also think Muta, because like worked his ass off, and like I don't feel like WCW ever fully capitalized on Great Muta.
no.
Because like as we all mentioned, like every time he was out there, the crowd in Atlanta loved themselves some Muta on that night.
Mhm.
However, after the fucking shit kicking that Sting took, I don't know, man. Like, did WCW ever fully appreciate Sting to
Yes.
the level of the shit kicking he took?
Yes.
I don't know. I'll probably give it to Muta. I'll give it to Muta.
That's like trying to give an award to Roman Reigns just because he went through the dog food match. Just like no, just like people appreciate him.
I think you forget what they did to Sting at Starrcade '97. I think you forget.
No, I remember, but that's mostly Hogan. That's mostly Hogan, not WCW's fault.
That's fair. Well, with all that being said, guys, this has been, and I will like we've been doing this show for a long time. This has been one of my favorite episodes that we've ever recorded. This has been so much fucking fun. I do not want this episode to end, which means that the next time we do early 90s WCW, we definitely will. You have got to come back, because not only are you the voice of reason and plenty of our arguments between me and Vince, but you are also like a voice of knowledge. And I've learned a lot in this episode. And it's been so much, like, again, so much fun. So thank you again for coming on the show. Take your time and tell the people where they can find you on social media and your podcasts.
First and foremost, I want to say thank you. I have a raging boner for you and Vince both, and for when he hears this later. All 3 of you collectively, huge boners. For those of you at home who are curious about what my boner looks like, if you check the link in my bio at the Will Gray, anywhere you do anything on the internet, you'll find everything I do for Botch Bots and Share Shots, Rivet City Radio, Nerdy News at 420, and all of my wrestling writing profiles for Last Word on Sports, The Sportster, and Pro Wrestling Stories. The 2300, the Omni, the Chase, and Madison Square Garden. Mount Rushmore venues. That's how you do it.
All right, I like that. I wasn't even ready for it. I was like, "Oh wait, hold up, I'm out." It came out of nowhere,
right out in front of you. Whipped it
yeah,
right
he
out in front of you.
just slapped my lips with it.
Vince, I am going to offer the last bit of this podcast to you because, and I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot again, but it needs to happen in this sense. It needs to happen.
Okay.
The next time you will be hearing from Vince and I will be WrestleMania season.
Yes.
And we are going to be reviewing 2 WrestleManias during the month of April, leading up to the big granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania. But I don't even, what is it, 42? 43? 42?
42.
Okay. All right. So we're leading up to WrestleMania 42 in real time, but we are going to be reviewing WrestleManias heading into that, much like we did with the Royal Rumble. Vince, pick a WrestleMania, my friend.
WrestleMania Backlash.
Oh, you fuck. That doesn't count. That's Backlash. That doesn't count.
So I wanted to pitch something, since you're so good at waiving 10-year rules. Once a judge rules upon it. Inside jokes, people. I was saying,
this is inside baseball.
We're gonna be reviewing a WrestleMania given the Rumble poll winner. And I was like, what if we cover another promotion's WrestleMania? Because we just covered WCW's WrestleMania. Sure, what if we did Wrestle Kingdom instead of a WrestleMania?
Ooh.
If we can find a way to do it, given that I'm a little like misty-eyed because we just watched AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura at Saturday Night's Main Event. Wrestle Kingdom 10, Shinsuke versus AJ is on the
This
card.
would not be my first viewing of this match or this pay-per-view. I believe I watched this years ago when it originally happened.
Oh,
so yes. If we have to find a way to do this.
Yeah, and if we don't, then we'll figure out another WrestleMania, and
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
I'll cop out and pick the pandemic, and then go from there.
WrestleMania 18 is right there. It's right there.
I think I recently covered it somewhere.
Oh,
I can't remember
okay.
where. So that's why I don't want to rehash it, because I remember like a lot of that there. So that's why.
fair. That's fair. Well,
I can't remember.
With all that being said, for Will, for Vince, thank you to each and every one of you for listening all the way to the end of this longer edition of this podcast.
Yeah.
We appreciate each and every one of you, and you have been rewound.